Hello. I don't know. Hey, Poco. It's me. Um, don't know if any of you remember me. I'm Rick Harrison. Had a video channel called Travels with Rick and Zeb, and then I was going to change it to Travels with Rick and Poco, but that hadn't developed into anything. My last video was in 2022. I was traveling around in my camper and enjoying life thoroughly. That's what I wanted to do when I was able, was to travel north in the summer and south in the winter, and worked out pretty well for the first 5 years. And then I decided, well, with the economy the way it was and everything was so screwed up, and I decided I couldn't afford to travel south anymore at the time. And I was working as a camp host in Washington, northern Washington, and really enjoying it. I was working in federal campsites in the summertime and actually getting paid, and in state campsites in the wintertime, no pay, but had a place to keep my camper. And I bought a senior pass for state parks when I wasn't camping or working, and went to different campsites in the state. Happened to be a lot of campsites and state campgrounds in Washington State, so there's some pretty nice campsites to go to. Anyway, I was enjoying that a lot, and I was getting ready to start a summer campsite host, and it was about 2 weeks before the campsite opened, and I was already there, but I was just waiting and hanging out, and my foot got really sore, and I looked at it, it was black, and I asked a fellow camp host what he thought, and he said, I think you should go to the hospital. And so I did, and the next day they had taken off half of my foot. And I had vascular heart disease caused it, a gangrene. So they took the foot off, and it took about 3 months to recoup from that in a nursing home rehab center. And I don't even want to go into the details here. It was hell. But eventually I got out, and I was fortunate that my brother kept my dog, and I no longer had Zeb. And I'll get into that later, but I have a new dog, and his name is Poco, and also a rescue dog. And so without the foot, I had to get rid of my Jeep because I couldn't operate the clutch properly. So I traded it for a 2013 Ford pickup truck, which is a pretty nice vehicle. And so let's see, that took me into fall, and so I went back to work for the state and did a 3-month stint, November, December, and January, and that would have been in 2023. And then spring came, and I was going to decide to take the summer off from the federal job and travel around. The state is absolutely beautiful, as all of them are, but Washington has got everything you could want, including high prices. Anyway, so I told my doctors, especially my vascular doctor, that I didn't want to be bothered for the summer. I wanted to travel and search for Bigfoot. And she said, okay. So I was up in the northern part of the state, just south of the Canadian border, near where I was hosting the first year I got here, and it was still early spring, so there was none of the campgrounds were open, and I found a few of the places where I used to go, looking around for spots when I were to come back in the future, and it was still cold, and things weren't working right, so I decided I was going to go a little further west to over by Wenatchee, Washington, in that area, and I hadn't been there before. And so I was driving south, and I was, I don't know, 60, 70 miles south, and I was getting ready to head west, and I stopped for some groceries and some things, and my phone rang, and it was my vascular surgeon, and she said, "Rick, I need to see you." And I said, "Well, I told you that I didn't want to be bothered." And she said, "Well, it's really important. I think we have a big problem. If you, can you come and see me?" And I said, "Well, I'm, a long way away from you." She said, "Well, it's vitally important." And so I said, "All right, I'll be there tomorrow." And so I drove my vehicle to my brother's house, and they took me over to the hospital, and they put me in. And the next day, I didn't have a left leg. The vascular disease progressed, and my foot wasn't working properly, and it was infected. And I didn't have the gangrene, but it was infected, and it did hurt. But it was that's why I'd gone to a couple of emergency rooms, and so they took my leg off. And that was June 10th, 2025. And on June 20th, they sent me to a rehab facility in Auburn, which is a long way from where I was and where my doctors were and everything. And I ended up being there for 5 months and doing a lot of doctoring and working on getting a new prosthetic and learning how to use that. And I lost my camper. Well, I gave my camper away because I didn't have any way to pull it, because I lost my truck. I didn't have a job and no money, so I couldn't pay for it. So I had to let it go. And I gave the camper away because I couldn't store it anywhere, and it went to a good home. And so now I'm sitting in this rehab facility, and no dog and nothing, and it was really a depressing time. Still is. And Poco, that's the eventually I moved to a senior living facility in Seattle, and I had my Poco. Come on. There's nothing there. Come on. There was. I have a nice little apartment. It's a 1-bedroom apartment, and I have aid from the state. The only income I have is my Social Security, and they take all of that for me to be able to live in this apartment and this facility, which includes food. And I'm not far from my doctor. My doctors, I have several of them, and I see quite frequently. I've been having some problems with my leg, and I have my final prosthetic, and it's pretty nice, but I've been having some swelling and stuff, and it hasn't been working. And with my heart disease and all the other problems I have, and the neuropathy in my hands, I haven't been able to. I'm in a wheelchair most of the time, and I don't have any. Ability to get around, especially to like walk the dog or anything, and so I'm hoping for this electric wheelchair. But anyway, so my whole dream, when I finally got away, and I had about 5 years of that, which was so awesome. Went all over the country and did that. It was great, and I tried to make a few videos. I made about 17 videos, but I didn't make them from everywhere. So now I sit here in this apartment in West Seattle, and most of my time is going to doctors. and I see my brother once in a while, and that's great. And I've got my books and of course TV and my guitars, but I can't play music like I used to because my hands are so bad. And I'm not looking for sympathy, but I am. Empathy was nice. I would love to get back out on the road, but with only a Social Security, I need to get another vehicle. I'm thinking about a van um, that I can transition to and get back out there. And I was living cheap before, and I can do it just as well now. Um, I just I gotta get where the leg works better and where I can get around better before I can uh, manage to live on my own again. I'm living on my own. I do all my own medications and everything, but I mean to live out camping and that type of thing. That life was, I just loved it so much, and my dog loved it, and he's kind of cooped up in this place just like me. But thank God for him because that's all I live for now, and without him I wouldn't be around. That's for sure. So that's the kind of the gist of what's going on now, and I hope to one day be able to afford to get out there and do it again. I sure hate to think that I'm gonna have to sit here until my last days. Um, I lost quite a bit of weight. I was at one point before I lost my foot, I was 307 pounds, and that wasn't very good. And now I'm down to 225, and I'm working at losing more and more and feeling better and better. But that's it. That's why I haven't been doing videos anymore. And as much as I loved it, and I would love, the few people I did have that watched them were there and seemed to enjoy it. But we'll see what happens. So hopefully, in the not too distant future, I can get out of here and get back on the road and get back camping. That's my story for now. I'm sticking to it.